trial of John Edwards begins today, culminating an unbelievable fall from grace for a figure who was once considered not just a rising star in the Democratic Party, but who could very well have become our nation's vice president. When John Edwards first debuted on the national scene, he seemed to be a John Grisham character come to life. But we now realize that there was about as much integrity as a used car salesman on a bender beneath that Breck-style hair. He's become a punchline, and deservedly so. But this trial raises a bunch of interesting questions, and no less than the editors of the National Review have reluctantly come to John Edwards' defense. I have a soft spot whenever people have enough integrity to argue outside their partisan interests. It's an indication that they're actually speaking from a position of principle. And I'll read just a bit of the John Edwards editorial and recommend the rest to you. The editors' National Review wrote, John Edwards, the Dorian Gray of the Democratic Party, is one of the most loathsome characters in American politics, corrupt himself and a source of corruption in others, a preening, moralizing fraud who went so far as to have a staffer claim paternity of the illegitimate child he fathered with a campaign contractor. But for the labors of the National Enquirer, he might have been president. But they continue. If being a louse were a crime, John Edwards would hang for it. But he is instead facing prison for alleged campaign finance violations, and it is our obligation to come unenthusiastically to his defense. He may be guilty of bribery, and if he were a sitting senator, he would likely be guilty of gross ethics violations. But the facts do not support prosecuting Edwards under campaign finance laws. Now, that will be for the judge and jury to decide. This trial will be a circus. It is a circus that John Edwards brought upon himself. But the verdict of the American people is already clear. In a recent poll, found that John Edwards has currently a 3% approval rating. Now, this is perhaps less than scientific. It's not a barometer of a man's soul, but it's worth noting that this is 1/3 the approval rating of current sitting members of Congress. It is an approval rating much deserved. For Campaign Chronicles, I'm John Avalon.